Tom, when people started hearing you in the neighborhood, they came here because it looks like we are multiplying by the minute. I think we are about 40 or more people here that came here for the sole reason to hear you, Tom. So thank you again.
Yeah.
Our next reader doesn't need an introduction. And he doesn't need an introduction because
This one is.
I'll start in a kind of personal note. Jed Myers, it was after 9/11 that Jed saw the need to have a place where writers and musicians can meet and perform their stuff. He did it twice a month for almost 15 years. And he would still be doing it if the venue had not kicked us out a few months ago. Jed had instilled an incredible, welcoming, inspiring environment, making many newcomers of all ages feel welcome and safe to create and flourish. Thank you, Jed. His official bio reads something like, Jed lives in Seattle. He's a psychiatrist with a therapy practice and teaches at UW. He began seeking publication after 9/11. His collections include Watching the Perseids, Sacramento Poetry Center Book Award, the chapbook The Nameless, Finishing Line Press, and a chapbook forthcoming from Egress Studio Press. He's received Southern Indiana Review's Editors Award, the Literal Latte Poetry Award, Blue Lyra, okay, sounds familiar. Blue Lyra Review's Longish Poem Award, 2 Pushcart nominations, and in the UK, a Forward Prize nomination. His works being in Prairie Schooner, Nimrod, Harper Palate, Crab Creek Review, Cascadia Review, the Briarcliff Review, Atlanta Review, Quiddity, and elsewhere. Please welcome Jed Myers. There are more seats in here, maybe?
One. Well, 2.
Well, no, that was a lovely introduction. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. It's wonderful to see so many, like, really alive faces, hearts gathered together around poetry. I mean, it's incredible.
And one skeleton up there.
Oh, they're listening too, right? Well, and thanks to this beautiful place. I mean, this is wonderful. I've never been here, and now I have. It's lovely, and it's nice to see Seattle culture flourishing in all kinds of ways. Well, let me get to it. I've got just a few recent poems here to read. This is a sonnet, and it, it concerns awareness of what happens elsewhere on the planet. It's called The Wire Said. And there's an epigraph. Amy Davidson in the New Yorker said, "We have been most ourselves when we have opened our doors." Stopped behind a red and evening rain, I caught a snippet of report. A man who'd left his house in rubble, crossed a plain and then a sea, gone north with no sure plan, now stood before a wire fence that met horizon at both ends. The wire said a vast estate of folk more fortunate extends to here, and that its forebears bled a sea to claim it. Then a gust of air blew through the mic's steel mesh. I also heard that restive tide of tired migrants there, and over that, the sudden nomad's words, his ragged English like a froth on flood. He gurgled out his plea from blood to blood. I'd like to, read a poem you know, as a shrink, I listen to a lot of people's stories, and I listen to the stories of a lot of moms left alone with their children, culture being what it is, and it seems so crazy that women have to tend to their young alone. So, you know, it's a theme. So this is called Mouth, and there's two things you gotta know that are from Yiddish. Pisher means like, it sounds, you know, like a little pipsqueak, an annoying little putz, you know. And Wildachaya means wild animal. Like, you little Wildachaya, clean up and get away from here. You know, it's all Yiddish. Mouth. Little sucker. His mother, little sucker. His mother's nipples, mechanisms jinxed by his thirst. There is too much need in this house. She feels eaten. And that old louse who seated her, he's out again late reportedly, pleasing the boss who's got a divorce to talk about. What if all this life's an insatiable mouth, she wonders, resting her forehead against the cold glass of the world in the bathroom mirror. Little Pisher, this mama won't take the call. Cannot let it drag her down the hall to the railed bed and the piercing squeal that already explodes in her head. What if the whole world is one hollow appeal to be fed? Every one of us, not yet a toddler, Pope and President, every last UN ambassador, it makes her wish her eyes could exude a few tears. But bitterness clogs the ducts. Unfortunate fusser, he knows without thought he's the big trouble. He'll take a bottle and she'll go to the kitchen for hers. Little cur, he'll siphon the most vital part of her life, his bestial bite right out of the middle. It will not be a pleasure. She feels his wail. The diapered commander has her hard by her cardiac muscle in his telekinetic grip, as if he were still in her, digging his animal digits up through her diaphragm into her left ventricle. Could it be self after self, one swum out of the other since conception's own birth, all from the same subspace lagoon, tunnels, a lineage of the original urge, and we are the sucking tubes, poking the future, strung out as long as the sun heats the pool, each of us hung out to die, a wish out of water. She muses, eye to eye, with her silvery, immaterial double. She listens, a gasp and sigh, a glottal gurgle, soft, exhausted moan of why bother, out of her caged little Hildechaya, a surrender, after all, to her refusal to arrive. Relief and shame will sink down and dissolve inside like the droplets of Angostura she'll add to her rye to call it a cocktail. And she'll drink to her child, who, when she peeks, tiny pucker of lips, a sign he dreams he's the fish-like creature he is in the world's first waters, seems like a needless angel. Thank you. My father loved to eat, so I write about it because it was a very meaningful part of our lives. He's gone, but I think I write about him a lot. This is called My Father's Appetite. I knew Dad ate alone, too, tearing bites off the ham and Swiss in its crushed croissant, paper napkins swaddled and tight in his right hand as he launched his overnight leather bag over his head with the left up onto the steel rack above his seat before he collapsed for the sedative rock and clock back to Philly from New York. I knew he snacked in the house in the quietest part of the night while my mother wandered the dreamscapes she'd forget by first light. He'd snitch a hard-boiled egg from the dish she'd hid on the lowest shelf of the fridge, back of the yogurt and cottage cheese. He'd have it saltless and quick, like a sneak, like a kid in his mischief. He'd picnic solo midday at his desk in the office, in the midst of reviewing requests for silk prints and wool knits, turkey, tomato, lettuce, and mayo on rye, or on the plain toasted bagel he ordered up from the shop on the corner. All by himself, he was capable of such pleasure. I knew it well. But joy, that was more a matter of what treasured company he'd be able to gather at dinner, say, wherever that might be, at the Atlantic Grill with me in Manhattan on a short visit, or with my kids when he came to Seattle down at the Silver Cloud, or the crowded guest breakfast next to the lobby, or back home on the street where the soft pretzel vendor minding his cart was a kind of friend the old man understood how to keep. Even to sit with my mom at the Cantonese place next to the West Park pathmark, where they knew to make everything free of garlic and cooked to a glop for her, brought him that joy. Above all, the pleasure of eating, a fullness he took for love. I went to medical school to become a psychiatrist, crazy guy that I am. And, medical school is traumatizing. It just is. I don't care what anybody else says. But it's, can be a worthy ordeal, it can transform you in good ways, but it's traumatizing. So I think back on those days. This is a poem called Intern's Memory. I could see the oncologist's heart working either way, like one of those gray 12-pound lead spheres the downrigger fishers use to lower their lines to the mouths of monsters, or light as an owl's wings shadow, folded but ready to spread its merciful cover of night as he bends low over a bed, the final intent presence. I'd hear his regular scuff down the corridor, well before the necktied and scrubbed attendings showed up. He'd wear the same frayed sport coat all week, his temples streaks of white hair untrainable, flared twin flags of shock or surrender. I'd catch sight of him stalled outside a room I would not have to enter. He'd have his head bowed, appearing to study his notes. Or did he stare through his clipboard into some depth, into an ocean of helplessness? Dawn to dawn, I'd alter my guess. It wavered with what death was or wasn't gnawing that morning into my chest. Had I staved off a tumored brain's rupture down through its skull's base, or lost an old struggler whose post-stroke listlessness welcomed the gift of a quick pneumonia? Once I saw the oncologist in that dank tavern down at the end of the block. He hadn't shaved for a blur of days, wire rims off for a change, and that downward gaze. Perhaps scrutinizing the froth on his beard between brief quaffs, or peering toward the seafloor again. I left, and we never talked. I still wonder if he ever did feel aloft on the dark wings of his heart, or did he wait it deep all the while to hook the beasts that tore breath out of the sick with their teeth from under, where he looked and looked. Now, this is my token weird poem for this selection. It's not too weird, but it's a little weird. So it's about emotional, struggles and someone you're close to, and it's called recovery. To own your depths, you dyed your hair black. It shone like riverbank obsidian in canyon glow. To harness your darkness, you wore a close, smoke-colored dress. It absorbed the least flash of mistrust, left us defenseless. To muster the force of your vengeance, you sipped Benedictine on ice in the kitchen while the rest slept. to nurse the nagging cringe at the loss of your first nurture. You binge on roasted roots, not a bad diet for night vision. To perch your blame where you wanted it, no need to take aim. It flew from your tongue with your laughter and hung from the branches above the ravine like an evening curtain of orbit's wings. You poisoned the dog owners on the path by the stream with a hissless vapor. They took no note and kept walking. You were pleased. The sky's post-rush hour fire was yours. Then one night came a great surge of thirst for forgiveness. The moon, a curved night. On the grass out back of the house you stripped. Let the fine light slice through your dear hate's deepest sheaths. You hadn't counted on me for a witness. It wasn't meant, but the bedroom window opened onto the reckless event. Each of our layers alone is so thin it's translucent. I saw you reckoned, rendered such sheer puddle-like sheets, waxy tone between platinum and ivory, bloodless it seemed. You'd call it sleep's reverie, but I saw it and wondered how you'd compose yourself before breakfast. Thank you. I have two more, is that okay? This is real recent, and it's called Under the Prattle, and I suppose it's a poem out of the sense of fraudulent, identity that we all have, I think, from time to time. I have a hope it's not only me, who feels like an imposter in a variety of life situations, genuine though I wish to be. It's called Under the Prattle. God help me. I hide in my skin disguise, and my words all forgery. May I not be severely fined. Lies, filched idioms, rags, tied into kite tails to steady my rice paper diamonds in the sky. All I've provided, I've plagiarized. I'm less real than the gray gull who openly shatters the shell to steal the creature inside. I mean to dangle a morsel, feed you a line to lodge in your wish flesh. For this am I damned. We're some kind of kin, and you've left your window open. Your unfenced garden invites my trespass. Your trellis incites my sin. I'll climb in, you unbutton my herringbone vest, press your ear to my chest, and listen. Under the prattle, out of my lips, a rumble, a depth like the oceans. One more, maybe the strangest, I don't know, it's called Pulverized Apology. If you hear something like that, you go, what the hell? But it's the correct title, I think. And it's a poem really about caring about people you'll never meet who are your descendants. Like, what am I doing for our kids? It's really very simple. Dear descendant, safe in your smart suit, or barefoot and vigilant with some animal pelt thrown around you, I salute you, inheritor, airborne in your sky scooter or mudbound over your char pit. Invertebrate inveterate thriver, vertebrate wit like we, your now powdered ancestors were in your history. You come by your grit honestly as the night follows day. I won't ask you to update me, as I would not sit down to write my own ancients, but I send this little note. You could say the dust around you is waving hello. Though just a few microscopic bits, what once was the stuff of me sifts somehow into your dust-free unit, or easily into your clay hut, maybe a comfort, a pulverized sort of apology. Given whether you take your oxygen through a fitted membranous filter or choke by the breath on the permanent smoke, Your condition is in some small part a legacy, consequence of what goes on now in this time, our finally finding our own fine-spun code, our first grasping the threads of entanglement, our asking at last the ubiquitous quantum mind to take the deity throne. This moment the honeybees dwindle, the hovering drones glow, bloody holes in the sand, glooms real and unreal as the daffodils glow through the numbered days of our Gregorian march. The sun sears our southern pole. Murder-suicide finales merge with sacrifice self-detonations in markets and mosques. The mossy prayer carpet floors of rainforest chapels spawn the cures for our children's leukemias. Human uniqueness flies its radiant stripes and spots high over freedom's few islands, while naked girls fill screens with their Genesis petals for white-collar serfs at their desks. Pirates and slaves and trafficked kids still fill in the mix of the countless conscripts, and any face in the chaos may offer up witness or kindness. Take these few words on our complex epics, stuttering breath, slipped through to tell you, I know it's not all on you and your comrades, uniformed or in hides, dining on optimized nutrient resins, or on what beasts you find and surprise from behind. Either image of you, my grandchild's child's child, sets a writhe through a spine that still dangles intact from the gel of a mind. To see you, though it's a vision concocted of wishes and dreads in a blend with the Sunday Times and the dash of radio news, lets loose a shiver, though I spend an hour in the spring sun, pink-blossomed limbs spreading their aphrodisiac scents on the air, tiny birds' high-pitched chirps and trills slicing through freeway hum. In that expanse called the future, occupied only with wonder for now, I see you and shudder with all I will never have done.